Welcome to the Author Your Life podcast, where you can write a new script for your life and become the hero of your story. I'm your host, David McRae. You are the author of your life. Let's get started.
All you have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to you.
In my experience, there's no such thing as luck.
It is not our abilities that show what we truly are. It is our choices.
Before we launch into the podcast, I'd like to tell you about my book, Author Your Life, Become the Hero of Your Story. This is a book for people who are at a crossroads in life and want to make a fresh start. Judging by the fact that you're listening to this podcast, I suspect that you may well be one of those people. This book is going to help you to change your narrative and rewrite the scripts in life that are holding you back. This book covers the latest science and research showing you how to become the person you want to be and live the life that you want to live. I'd like to invite you to get this book not only because I feel it's a great book that's going to help you, but also it's going to support the podcast as well. I love podcasts, but sometimes all of those ads that you get can be really irrelevant and annoying when you just want to listen to a good piece of training or a good interview. So I therefore made the decision with my podcasts that number one, I wanted my podcast to be free so that everyone could listen to it. And number two, that I wasn't going to fund it through all these annoying and irrelevant adverts and commercials. Therefore, if you want to support the podcast and support all the things that I put out there for free, whether it be here on the podcast, my YouTube channel, other areas on social media, then buying a book is going to enable and help that process. So this is what we call a win-win scenario. By buying the book, you help to support my work and all the free stuff that I put out there, and you also get a really transformational book that's going to help you make those changes that you really want in your life. So if you feel you're someone who's at that crossroads in life, you're looking for a new direction, you're looking for a fresh start, then make sure you get this book. Author Your Life, Become the Hero of Your Story is available on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and audiobook. Whatever your preferred medium, it's there for you to go get right now. One of the key factors that people don't consider when they start setting targets and goals for themselves is the obstacles that are going to stop them from achieving those targets and achieving those goals. Most goal-setting systems focus on what are the steps required to get to where you want to go? What are the steps required to get to your target? And this is an important part of the process. But what you really need to think about is what is going to come in and block those steps? What's going to come in and disrupt and break that sequence? This is something that nearly enough people do not think about. So whenever I'm working with students or clients, particularly at the beginning of the year in January when people are setting their targets for the year and what they want to do, I say to them, you've got to think of your obstacles as well. Because it's through thinking through our obstacles that we can ultimately surpass them, overcome them, and even avoid them in the first place. What I'm going to share for you today is a very simple formula that you can use for confronting your obstacles. Anytime that they come up on whatever journey it is that you're going towards, whether you're wanting to develop your personal life, your professional life, your relationships, anticipating what these obstacles are and developing this little formula I'm going to share with you is going to help you to break through these obstacles and don't let them stop you from getting to where you want to go. So what is this formula? The formula is if, then. Incredibly simple. If something happens, then I'm going to do this. If something happens, then I'm going to do this. We can use this formula in 3 different ways to overcome and step past our obstacles. So the first way that you can use the if-then process is to avoid the obstacle in the first place. So let's use the example of exercise, something that is a very common goal, and particularly thinking of those New Year's resolutions. This is something that a lot of people say at the start of the year, I'm going to exercise more, I'm going to get fitter, I'm going to lose weight. So let's look at how we'd apply the if-then process to prevent an obstacle to being fitter, to being healthier. So let's think about what you want to do to exercise and get fitter. you decide that you're going to go to the gym and you're going to start working out 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, whatever your particular regime is going to be. How do you avoid an obstacle in this scenario? Well, one obstacle might be tiredness or lack of motivation. And you know, after you've been at work for 8 hours, you aren't going to be particularly energized and motivated to want to go and exercise. So how do we prevent tiredness and motivation stopping you from getting to the gym and going and doing your exercise? Well, you know that if you go home and you sit on the sofa, you're done. You're ruined. You're not going to be moving from there for the rest of the evening. So the way that we can use an if-then to prevent this obstacle is you say, if I drive to the gym, then I'm going to be more likely to exercise. So after work, rather than coming home and then going to the gym, you drive straight to the gym from work. This is your new formula. You've used an if-then to prevent an obstacle arising in the first place. This is one of the first ways that we can use the if-then process. The second way is to surmount an obstacle. So if an obstacle is already presented itself, what are you going to do about it? So let's say you drive to the gym straight from work, but you are tired. You are demotivated. You get into the gym and you're struggling. What do you do in this scenario? Well, you might anticipate this and say, well, a lot of the times when I go to the gym, even if I go straight there and I avoid the deadly trap of the couch and the sofa, I'm still not going to feel like exercising. I'm still not going to be 100% there. So the if-then statement you could create in this scenario, if I feel tired at the gym, then I'm going to give myself longer rest periods between sets of exercises. This is a strategy, an adaptation that you can use if you've had one of those days. And it's not just because you can't be bothered or you're not feeling it, but genuinely you've had a really tough day and more physical exertion is a struggle and a challenge for you. This is the adaptation you bring in. If I'm feeling tired, then I increase my rest periods between my exercises. It means that you're still doing your workout. You're not letting the obstacle of tiredness stop you from your exercise regime, but you are adapting in order to surmount and overcome the obstacle. So that's the second way you can use the if-then statement. The third way you can use an if-then statement is actually to spot a good opportunity. So rather than just reacting and responding to your obstacles, you also want to be proactive in your target achievement and setting process. Because quite often our biggest obstacle is inaction. It's not doing something. It's not taking an opportunity when we could take an opportunity. So you can use the if-then statement to also set up and prepare for a good opportunity. So your if-then statement might be, if I have a good night's sleep and I feel well rested, then I'm going to add extra exercises to my workout. Because what you've got there is an opportunity when you're just not only not feeling tired, but actually feeling energized, alert, awakened. Then you can exploit and take advantage of that extra energy in order to press further ahead with your exercise targets. If I have a good night's sleep and I'm feeling well rested, then I add extra exercises to my workout. What this if-then process does is it gives you a formula. And essentially what you're doing is you're starting to build a habit. One of the most effective ways to build habits is to tag one habit onto an existing habit that you already have. And the if-then process does this. So you create a habit or a trigger, which is the if. So if I drive straight to the gym from work, if I'm feeling tired, if I have a good night's sleep, that is something that is a pre-existing condition. It comes in and it's already there. With that pre-existing condition, you then attach then. You attach the new thing, the new action, the new thing you're going to do. Now we've used the example of exercise there, but you can use this for anything. If you're wanting to improve in your relationships, think, well, what obstacles stop me from being able to communicate and interact effectively? And use the if-then statement to avoid the obstacle, to overcome the obstacle, and also to spot a good opportunity to advance and further whatever your relationship targets might be. So this is the if-then formula. A very simple process that you can use to overcome your obstacles. One of the biggest factors in whether or not you're going to achieve your targets and you're going to reach your aspirations is not to be able to avoid your challenges and obstacles. Yes, that's sometimes possible. But what you've really got to learn to do is how to push through and overcome those obstacles when they inevitably come up. And this is a formula that you can use to help prepare yourself for that eventuality. So folks, I hope you've enjoyed this lesson today. I look forward to sharing more with you in the future, as always. But until then, remember that you are the author of your life. You hold the pen, and you can write whatever script you want for yourself. I'll speak to you soon. David.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd appreciate it hugely if you could head over to iTunes and leave a rating and review for the podcast. With your review, please be as honest and detailed as you can be. Because with honest and detailed feedback, that helps me to adapt and grow this podcast to most serve you, the listener. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, then make sure you subscribe to the podcast. That way you aren't going to miss any of the future episodes that we've got lined up for you. Until next time, remember that you are the author of your life. You hold the pen, and you can write whatever script you want for yourself. So go out today and write yourself a beautiful story.